customize your Excel save experience and boost efficiency. Let's talk about something that might seem simple, but can actually save you a lot of time and frustration: customizing how Excel saves your files. By the end of this tutorial, you'll know exactly how to set up Excel to work the way you want it to, making your workflow smoother and more efficient. Understanding AutoSave and AutoRecover. Before we dive into customization, let's clarify two features that often get confused: AutoSave and AutoRecover. These are different tools that serve different purposes. AutoSave is the feature that automatically saves your file to the cloud, specifically to OneDrive, OneDrive for Business, or SharePoint. You'll see the AutoSave toggle in the top left corner of Excel right next to the file name. When it's turned on, Excel continuously saves your changes without you having to press Save manually. This is incredibly useful when you're working on cloud-stored files because it means you'll never lose recent work, and it enables real-time collaboration with others. AutoRecover, on the other hand, is your safety net. It works with files stored anywhere on your computer, network drives, or the cloud. AutoRecover automatically creates backup copies of your work at regular intervals. If Excel crashes or your computer shuts down unexpectedly, AutoRecover can help you recover unsaved changes. Think of it as your insurance policy against disasters. Here's the key difference. AutoSave is for continuous cloud saving, while AutoRecover is for emergency recovery of any file. You can use both features together for maximum protection. Setting up AutoRecover to protect your work. Let's start by configuring AutoRecover settings. This is one of the most important things you can do to protect yourself from losing work. Click on the File tab in the ribbon. This takes you to the Backstage view. Now click on Options near the bottom of the left sidebar. The Excel Options dialog box will open. In the left panel, click on Save. You'll see several options here, but let's focus on the AutoRecover settings first. Look for the checkbox that says Save AutoRecover Information Every and make sure it's checked. By default, Excel saves AutoRecover information every 10 minutes, but you can change this. Click on the Minutes box and type a different number. If you're working on critical data, you might want to set this to 5 minutes or even less. Keep in mind that more frequent saves use more system resources, so find a balance that works for your computer's performance. Right below that, you'll see the AutoRecover file location. This shows you where Excel stores those temporary backup files. The default location is usually fine, but if you want to change it, click the Browse button and select a different folder. Some people prefer to save AutoRecover files to a cloud-synced folder for extra security, though this isn't necessary if you're already using cloud storage for your main files. There's also a checkbox that says, Keep the last AutoRecovered version if I close without saving. I strongly recommend keeping this checked. Here's why. Sometimes you might accidentally close a file without saving, or Excel might crash before you save manually. With this option enabled, Excel will keep that last auto-recovered version so you can retrieve it later. Click on OK to save your changes. Let's do a quick practice. Open a new workbook and type something simple, maybe Budget 2024 in cell A1. Now wait for the auto-recover interval you set. Don't save the file manually. After that time passes, close Excel without saving. When you open Excel again, you should see the Document Recovery pane on the left side showing your recovered file. Click on it to open it, and you'll see your unsaved work is still there. Pretty reassuring, right? Setting a default local save location. First, let's look at where Excel tries to put your files by default. If you are tired of navigating away from OneDrive every time you start a new workbook, this setting is for you. Let's change your default save location to your actual computer. Go up to File tab in the top left corner. All the way at the bottom, click on Options. This opens the Excel Options dialog box. In the left-hand sidebar, click on Save. Now look for the section labeled Save Workbooks. You'll see a checkbox that says Save to Computer by default. Go ahead and check that box. Right below it, you'll see a field for Default Local File Location. By default, this usually points to your generic Documents folder. But let's say you have a dedicated work folder where you keep everything. I want you to open File Explorer, find that folder, maybe it's called Current Projects or Financial Reports, copy that address path, and paste it right here into this box. Once you do that, click OK. Now, every time you create a brand new workbook and hit Save, Excel will automatically suggest that specific folder on your computer instead of trying to push you to the cloud. Bypassing the Backstage. Next, let's talk about the Backstage. The Backstage is that full-screen menu that pops up when you click on Save As, showing you Recent, OneDrive, and this PC. It's helpful for some, but if you prefer the classic Windows Explorer window popping up immediately so you can just browse your folders instantly, we can turn the Backstage off. Let's go back to File, then Options, and select Save again. Look for the option that says Don't show the Backstage when opening or saving files with keyboard shortcuts. Check that box. Here's what this changes. When you use a keyboard shortcut to save, Excel will skip the menu and immediately launch the classic Save As dialog window. It feels much faster and more like the classic Excel experience you might be used to. The Save As shortcut. Speaking of shortcuts, I want to give you one of the best time savers for file management. Usually, if you want to save a copy of a file, you might go to File, Save As, Browse. That's 3 or 4 clicks. Instead, simply press the F12 key on your keyboard. Go ahead and try it now if you have Excel open. Press F12. You'll see it immediately opens the Save As dialog box, ready for you to rename the file or change the location. It works regardless of your other settings and is the fastest way to save a new version of your work. Pinning recent folders. Finally, let's look at a hybrid option. Maybe you do use the cloud sometimes, but you have 3 or 4 specific local folders you use every day, like a Q4 budget folder or invoices. You don't have to dig for them every time. Click File, and then look at the Home or Open tab. Look at your list of recent workbooks or folders. When you hover over an item you use often, you'll see a star icon appear, labeled Add to Favorites. Click that star. Now, that folder or file is locked at the top of your list or added to your Favorites tab. Even if you open 20 other folders this week, your Q4 budget folder will remain right there for instant access. Now, that folder is locked at the top of your list. Even if you open 20 other folders this week, your Q4 budget folder will remain right there at the top for instant access. Working with AutoSave for cloud files. If you use OneDrive or SharePoint, AutoSave is a game changer for collaboration and peace of mind. Let's set this up properly. First, understand that AutoSave only works with files stored in OneDrive, OneDrive for Business, or SharePoint. It doesn't work with files on your local hard drive or network drives. This is by design. AutoSave needs a cloud connection to continuously sync your changes. Open a file from OneDrive or create a new file and save it to OneDrive. You can do this by clicking File, Save As, and then choosing OneDrive from the list of locations. Once your file is in OneDrive, look at the top left corner of the Excel window. You should see a toggle switch labeled AutoSave. Click this toggle to turn it on. When it's on, the toggle will be blue or green depending on your Excel version. Now here's something important. When AutoSave is on, you don't need to manually save anymore. Excel is constantly saving your changes in the background. You'll occasionally see a small saving indicator appear briefly, but mostly it happens so seamlessly you won't notice it. But what if you don't want AutoSave on for a particular file? Maybe you're experimenting with different scenarios and you don't want to overwrite your original data. Simply click the AutoSave toggle to turn it off. The file will remain in OneDrive, but now you'll need to save manually using Ctrl+S or the Save button. Let's try this together. Open a file from OneDrive, or if you don't have one, save your current workbook to OneDrive first. Turn on AutoSave. Now make a change to your spreadsheet. Add a number, change a formula, anything. Don't press Save. Now close Excel completely and reopen that same file from OneDrive. Your change is there, right? That's AutoSave doing its job. One more important point. When AutoSave is turned on and you're co-authoring a file with a colleague, you'll see their changes appear in real time, and they'll see yours. Their cursor will show up in a different color, and you'll see their name next to the cells they're editing. This is incredibly powerful for team collaboration. Setting default file formats. Excel can save files in many different formats, but you might prefer one format over another. Let's customize this. Head back to File, Options, and Save once more. Look for the drop-down menu labeled Save Files in this format. Click on it, and you'll see a list of formats. The default is usually Excel Workbook, which creates .xlsx files. This is the modern Excel format, and it's a good choice for most situations. However, you might want to choose a different default format. For example, if you work with people using older versions of Excel, you might choose Excel 97 2003 Workbook, which creates .xls files. These are compatible with older Excel versions but don't support some newer features. If you want to ensure maximum compatibility and you don't need advanced Excel features, you might choose CSV, delimited for data files. CSV files can be opened by virtually any program, but they only save the active worksheet and don't preserve formatting, formulas, or multiple sheets. For most users, I recommend sticking with Excel Workbook as your default. It offers the best balance of features, compatibility, and file size. Here's a practical scenario. Imagine you're a data analyst who regularly exports data to clients who might not have Excel. You could temporarily change your default save format to CSV, do your exports for the day, and then change it back. Or, better yet, just use Save As and choose the format for each individual file as needed. Click OK when you're satisfied with your choice. Managing file recovery after a crash. Even with all these protective features, sometimes Excel crashes unexpectedly. Let's talk about what happens next and how to handle it. When you restart Excel after a crash, the document recovery pane should appear automatically on the left side of the window. This pane shows you all the files Excel was able to recover. Each file will have a timestamp showing when it was last saved. You might see multiple versions of the same file, for example, one that was auto-saved 2 minutes before the crash and one that was manually saved 10 minutes before the crash. Click on any file on the list to open it and see its contents. Look carefully at the data to determine which version is the one you want to keep. Usually the most recent autosave version is what you want. Once you've identified the right version, save it immediately. Click File, then Save As, choose your location, and give it the proper file name. Don't just rely on the recovered version sitting in temporary storage, save it properly to your chosen location. If you don't see the document recovery pane when Excel reopens, you can manually access recovered files. Click File, then Open, and then look for a button that says Recover Unsaved Workbooks at the bottom of the Recent Files list. Click this, and Excel will show you the folder containing auto-recovered files. You can browse through these and open any that might contain work you need to recover. Let me give you a pro tip. If Excel crashes frequently, it's worth investigating why. It could be due to corrupted files, conflicting add-ins, or insufficient computer memory. Address the root cause rather than just relying on AutoRecover to save you repeatedly. Best practices for saving files. Now that you understand all these features, let's talk about best practices that will keep your work safe and your workflow efficient. First, use a layered approach to file safety. Enable AutoRecover with a short interval. I recommend 5 to 10 minutes. If you work with cloud storage, enable AutoSave for those files. And still develop the habit of manually saving at key points, like before making major changes or before closing for lunch. Think of it as 3 layers of protection: AutoRecover for crashes, AutoSave for continuous cloud backup, and manual saves for peace of mind. Second, organize your default save locations thoughtfully. If you work on different types of projects, consider changing your default save location when you switch between projects. This saves you navigation time and helps keep your files organized. Third, use meaningful file names from the start. Instead of saving as budget1.xlsx and then later renaming it to Q1 Budget Final 2024, start with a descriptive name. This helps you find files later and makes your AutoRecover files more identifiable if you ever need to use them. Fourth, understand your backup strategy beyond Excel. AutoSave and AutoRecover are excellent, but they're not replacements for proper backups. Make sure your important files are backed up to an external drive or cloud service regularly. If you're using OneDrive, you're already getting this benefit automatically. Fifth, periodically check your AutoRecover file location. Over time, if you recover files frequently, this folder can accumulate old recovery files that take up disk space. It's safe to delete old recovery files you no longer need. Just make sure they're truly old and that you've saved the work properly elsewhere first. Finally, when collaborating with others on cloud-stored files, communicate about AutoSave. If you're making experimental changes that you might want to undo, turn AutoSave off temporarily. If you forget and AutoSave overwrites something important, remember that OneDrive keeps version history. You can right-click a file in OneDrive and choose version history to restore an earlier version. Troubleshooting common save issues. Let's address some common problems you might encounter and how to solve them. If AutoSave isn't appearing for your file, check 3 things. First, is the file stored in OneDrive or SharePoint? AutoSave only works with cloud storage. Second, is the file in a compatible format? Older formats like XLS don't support AutoSave. Third, is the file marked as final or read-only? These protections disable AutoSave. If AutoRecover isn't working, open your Excel options and verify that Save AutoRecover information is checked. Also verify that the AutoRecover file location actually exists on your computer and that you have permission to write files there. If Excel is saving files to an unexpected location, check your default save location setting in Excel options. Also be aware that Save As will remember the last location you used. If you saved to downloads last time, it might default there again. If you're getting errors when saving, the problem might be file permissions, a full disk, or a file that has become corrupted. Try saving with a different file name in a different location. If that works, the issue is likely with the original file name or location. If recovered files aren't showing up after a crash, check the AutoRecover file location manually through File Explorer or Finder. The files will have unusual names like AutoRecover save of budget.asd, but they can be opened directly in Excel. Customizing for different work scenarios. Let's put all this knowledge together by setting up Excel for different types of work situations. If you're a student working on assignments, set AutoRecover to 5 minutes, save your files to OneDrive with AutoSave enabled, and use descriptive file names that include the course name and assignment number. This way, even if your laptop dies during a study session, you'll lose at most 5 minutes of work and your files are accessible from any computer on campus. If you're a financial professional working with sensitive data, you might keep files on your local drive with AutoRecover enabled, but AutoSave disabled. This gives you control over exactly when changes are committed. Set up a default save location that's included in your company's backup system, and develop a habit of manually saving before making any major formula changes. If you're collaborating with a team on a shared workbook, save the file to SharePoint, enable AutoSave, and make sure all team members understand that their changes are immediately visible to everyone else. Consider turning on Track Changes for important documents so you can see who changed what and when. If you're working with large datasets or complex models, set AutoRecover to a longer interval, maybe 15 or 20 minutes, to avoid performance issues from too frequent saves. Make sure you have plenty of disk space in your AutoRecover location because these backup files can be large. Wrapping up, you now have complete control over how Excel saves your files. You understand the difference between AutoSave and AutoRecover. You know how to set default save locations, configure AutoRecover intervals, and choose default file formats. You can recover files after crashes, and you know best practices for keeping your work safe. Take a few minutes right now to check your settings, open File, Options, Save, and verify that everything is configured the way you want it. Make sure AutoRecover is enabled with an appropriate interval. Check your default save location. If you use OneDrive, open a cloud file and verify that AutoSave is available and working.